Hey guys, my next guest, Frank Siller. He's the chairman of Tunnel to Towers Foundation, and he's here to talk about his Heroes Fund, which is trying to help healthcare workers on the front line. Hey, Frank.
Hey, Julia, thanks for having me today.
Yeah, great to have you joining us. Look, you know the front line because you're witnessing it every single day. I've been hearing different, sometimes conflicting descriptions of what's going on with our healthcare workers' life and situation in different hospitals. Can you give us an overview of what kinds of PPE or support that our healthcare workers still need nowadays?
Yeah, so yes, I will tell you that in New York, you know that the curve is coming down, but that doesn't mean there's less work for our frontline healthcare workers and our nurses who have been overwhelmed from the beginning. There's definitely, they always need the N95 masks, which we've been able to deliver hundreds of thousands of them, along with the gowns. And once again, we've delivered hundreds of thousands of those, and we continue to deliver it. And also the plastic shields that you always see them wearing over their faces. And look, I come from a family of nurses. My daughter-in-law, who is the mother of three of my grandchildren, works right at Cornell, right in the MICU center where she's on the front line. I have nephews and nieces who are nurses and are on the front lines every day. So, and one of which has come down, tested positive for COVID-19. So, we know all that's going on here in New York. So there is a great demand for those supplies. Now, that doesn't mean that they didn't have supplies in the hospitals, but many times they had to wear the same mask over and over again. And that is not the best situation for any of these nurses to be in. So there is a great demand for all these PPE, the personal protective equipment that we're sending all over to many, many hospitals, including.
Yeah, and here's what, my thanks go out to people like you and some of the other guests I've had on this show and different other shows that I've had, which is whatever their regular job might be, they are now turning their factories or even like home offices or home little craft space into equipment manufacturing lines, essentially, to make cloth masks or other things so we can direct the more vital resources like N95 masks to the healthcare workers on the front line. And on that note, I do want to ask you, your Heroes Fund right now, what exactly does that provide to our healthcare workers?
Well, we talked about the personal protective gear. We've been buying millions. We're going to be coming up on $3 million just in that alone that we've purchased. But we're also taking care of the frontline healthcare workers that die and leave behind young kids, because so many of them they're our warriors today. They're like our military when they go out to protect us. They're like our first responders who protect us every single day. These are the ones who are on the front line, our nurses and other health workers. So what we're doing for a minimum of a year, we're going to pay their mortgages when they leave behind a young family, because that'll take a tremendous pressure off of their family that have to deal with so much. And we're feeding so many of the hospitals and first responders and the EMS workers and those that came from out of state that came here, which is over 250 ambulances alone that came to help us during this terrible time. So but we can't do it without people who help us. So I just want to thank Conor McGregor and his Whiskey 12, Proper 12 whiskey company, which has donated $1 million last month to us because of what we do for first responders, but he saw what we were doing here for our frontline healthcare workers, so he donated another $100,000. As a matter of fact, he's selling the shirt, One for All. Now, Conor looks a lot better in it than I do. I know for the young women that are watching, I know that for a fact. And so 100% of the proceeds, you go to properwhiskey.com.
Yeah, show us, like, open it a little more. Yeah, show us. Okay. One for all. Okay.
One for all.
Got it.
For all. And he donates $5. And so I know a lot of youngsters are home now and they don't know what to do. Buy a little bit of Proper 12 whiskey and take a shot. And as you're doing it,
Yeah.
you're helping these
Yeah,
frontline
it's
healthcare
for
workers.
a good cause.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So he's been tremendous. His Proper 12 Whiskey Company, his partner, Ken Austin, all of them have been fantastic.
Yeah. See, if I were a healthcare worker, which I'm not, but say if I were a first responder and tragically something were to happen to me, and then my relatives are on by themselves, unfortunately, how could they reach out to you guys to get help?
Well, first of
And
all,
do you have a vetting process?
well, absolutely. So to qualify in us, you have to die and you have to have young kids. You don't want to qualify, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
if you do, you go to tunneltotowers.org, and we're asking all your viewers to donate $11 a month for those who can, who are still working, $11 a month, and we could take care of a lot of these families. But we do this all year round for many, many years. My brother died on September 11, 2001, a firefighter who gave his life running through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel with 60 pounds of fire gear on his back. So that's how we started. We started by helping our first responders, our police officers, our firefighters, and we still that. They die in the line of duty and they leave young kids behind. We pay off their mortgages. In this instance, there's so many healthcare workers that are dying along with first responders that we're only going to be able to pay 1 year of their mortgages. But I shouldn't say only, because that's a tremendous relief for those families. So go to tunneltotowers.org and make your $11 donation. You know, Conor could do what he does. He donated an extra $100,000 with his Proper 12 Whiskey Company, but everyone could do something. And I think $11 a month, we're so proud of our foundation. First, it has my brother's name on it, but secondly, 94 cents of every dollar goes to our programs. I don't get paid. I've been running the foundation for over 18 years. My family, we don't get paid. We have thousands and thousands of volunteers, and we're very, very proud of it. And that's why we could deliver so much to so many.
Yeah. And thank you for doing that. Because what happened to your brother and you've experienced a tragic loss firsthand, I want to ask you before we go, what do you want to say to the family members of these first responders? There are always going to be relatives who are proud of their loved ones. But let's face it, there are also always going to be the relatives who may not say it out loud, but they question, oh, is his or her sacrifice worth it? Because I miss this person.
Wow.
And that's going to be a question that's going to be on their mind for the rest of their lives, right? That's just human nature. What do you say to them? So one, they could feel better, and two, they would, I mean, at the end of the day, I do want them to feel better too.
Of course.
It sounds like you are at a pretty good spot, and you've turned this tragic experience into something that's such a good cause. So what do you say to these families?
Well, I say everybody agrees differently, but I'm going to tell you from my own personal experience what we did as a family. We tried to take my brother's sacrifice, and this is what these great healthcare workers and first responders are doing now. They're going towards it. They're not running away. They're great heroes. They're willing to risk their life. They're willing to die, Julia, for you and for me. And we better tell America and these healthcare workers, America better let them know, these families, that we got their back. And that, God forbid, something happens, that we're going to be there for them. And that's what the Tunnel to Towers Foundation does. We want to make sure we're there for those families. But those who are grieving right now, I will say this to you, that so many people love you and really respect what your family member has done for our country, for our community, and that you're not alone, and that we're praying for you. And I will say this, that you can turn that grief and try to do something good with that heroic act. We're a very religious family, and St. Francis is, although some of his teachings we try to follow. And he said, brothers and sisters, while we are here, while we have time, let us do good. What they were doing is good. So turn that grief around, do something good in their memory, live a good, healthy, honest, clean life, and that's how you honor the sacrifice that was made, and that's how you make yourself a little better inside.
Yeah. Look, Frank, I personally don't believe in a human being can 100% emphasize with another person just because we haven't lived all our lives. And when when one of your loved ones dies on the front line, okay, everybody's gonna send flowers, everybody's gonna say, oh, rest in peace, so he died a hero, all that. But I don't necessarily believe the person who's sending you flowers knows absolutely everything that you're going through. But I do believe you, having lost your brother, know what the families of the first responders are going through.
I do.
Yeah.
I lived it. I lived it 18 and a half years ago, and we've been able to help $250 million we've been able to raise over those years to help our first responders and our military, and now our healthcare workers. We're very proud of that. And we did it in honor of my brother, but in honor of all those. Honestly, we want to do it in honor of all those who are willing to sacrifice their lives for you.
Are you at liberty to share maybe your email with your organization so some families who are going through tragedies can reach out to you personally to get some emotional support?
Absolutely. And I have a beautiful sister who responds because she writes a lot better than me. I talk pretty good, but she writes a lot better than me. But the truth is there's 6 of us that can respond. We're a large family to these. So you go to frank.siller, Siller, at tunneltotowers.org. And you can send me any question or anything that you want. I would love for you guys to ask because you want to get involved. We have 70 runs around the country. There are a lot of people that can get involved with us. That's why I say we got thousands and thousands of volunteers and why we're so able to make sure almost all the money goes to the intended cause. So we're very, very proud of that. So we have a big footprint for those who want to get involved all around the United States.
Thank you for doing what you do, Frank. And I know you've heard of this many, many times, but I'm sorry for your loss.
Well, thank you. God bless.